Welcome in our good friend Matt George over at the ABC 10 studio. Matt, what's happening, buddy?
What up? I just literally tabbed in right as you talking about people living. Are you talking about me?
Yeah, man.
Well, yeah, we're talking about it's my godson's birthday. My godson is famous on this show for destroying my house when I went to New York last year after allowing him and 100 of his closest friends to watch it and take care of Sprout while I was gone. And
100 of his close.
so we just said next time we're going to send him to Matt George's house because he doesn't live too far away from me, so he can destroy yours.
Well, hold on. I already have a toddler destroying my house, so we're at full
Well,
capacity at the moment.
well.
But I'm happy to come over and watch your house for you and bring 100 of my friends next time.
Okay, well, I feel like the house would be in far better condition if you and your friends from William Jessup came over to my house. I'd be far more comfortable with that.
What does that mean? What does that mean? You're gonna have breadcrumbs and wine all over your house. That's
I'm about to say, actually, they probably put all your liquor away in a storage.
it's gonna be
well,
gone.
They put all my liquor away, all right.
You're gonna have a scavenger hunt of Bibles somewhere. You don't ever. You're gonna find every version.
Oh, by the way, well, there was somebody else that Reese met, took a picture with Marvin Bagley.
There's nothing wrong with that. Don't do that.
No, I'm just saying.
There's nothing wrong
Didn't
with
work
that.
out the way we wanted it
Marvin
to.
was nice enough to take a picture.
It was very
with
nice.
Reese.
I said that because it didn't work out the way we wanted it to.
No, that's okay.
So it's Reese's fault then, is what you're saying.
No, that's all right.
Oh, well, Reese, actually,
Did Reese like step on his foot and break his foot at one point? Or?
Did he also take a picture with Buddy?
no.
Oh,
Oh,
He does have another picture.
he does have another picture. He's got all sorts of pictures on the internet.
They had to scrub that one.
Yeah, no, you can't erase that picture. You should. Have you seen the picture? Have you seen the big family picture, Matt?
no.
It's a big family picture in Los Angeles.
Oh, I've seen the mural picture.
No, not that one. It's a very skinny
Family picture.
short facial hair, Kenny Caraway, baby Reese, and there's an RV in the background, and oh yeah, it's out there on Twitter. Oh yeah, oh it be on people, man.
Oh man,
Be on people.
We got to call the Kings and be like, hey, this kid's had real bad luck with taking pictures with people. Can we like De'Aaron Fox maybe?
So
We
can
have
we
to
say
go
that
quick.
Kenny also saved the Kings then?
I think that's fair.
Sure.
I
I
think
agree.
that's fair. I think that's
I
fair.
mean, I was on the movie.
Wow. What a day, Matt. This has been a day, bro.
I was in the movie.
This has been a day, Matt.
No wonder it didn't come out.
Oh, I saw it on Periscope.
Oh, for God's sakes. All right. I'm just talking to Matt from now on. Matt,
It ain't gonna get better.
Matt,
Yeah,
where was I going?
I don't know if his foot was in bounds. By the way,
The bigs. The Kings made some moves this week, and just curious your thoughts on the Neemias Queta, Nerlens Noel, those guys being cut, and essentially what was probably the biggest training camp storyline is gone.
yeah, I would say so. Like the biggest positional battle certainly is done and over with. But I mean, I think it's the right decision from the sense that like I don't think Mike Brown has time to waste on that. Like we're talking about guy that's a player that is going to probably play behind even Trey Lyles for the backup 5 spot. It's going to be an inconsistent spot. And then the guy backing up even that in this case, which is what I believe Alex Len is going to be. So as soon as the Kings sign JaVale McGee, you not only have a guy that you know can hold down that position and do what you need from that spot, you also have a guy with unbelievable playoff and NBA Finals experience to kind of add to your locker room too. So at that point, like to me, it's a done deal. Sorry, Queta. Sorry, Noel. Kind of ship has sailed. McGee wasn't available, then he was, and things move fast in the NBA. So, like the focus for the training camp for this training camp for the Sacramento Kings and Mike Brown specifically is using what little time you have to build upon the foundation that you laid for yourself last season. It's a lot easier to do with a core of players who are primary returning and sprinkle in 1 or 2 guys, the main guys being like Chris Duarte and Sasha Vezenkov. Those are the ones they're going to focus heavily on for incorporating them into the Kings system. And then with guys like JaVale McGee, he's been everywhere. He's played in so many different places. He knows what his role is and knows how to fit in. You can it's easier to insert him in than it would be a Noel or a Keita or even an Alex Len to some extent. So I think Mike Brown's complete focus in this training camp is improving and getting better, and he's not going to want to hold anybody back for any kind of positional battles to waste a day or 2 or 3 or a week to figure out who his 3rd and 4th string centers are going to be.
Yeah, I'm with it. Like you got the decision. We already know what it is. No need in stringing those guys along. No need in going through. I don't want to call it a charade, but like you got the team. You got the team, right? So you have your backup centers, and Keita and Noel. There would be so much that have to go on for you to get to that point. Why not, buy you out of your contract and give you an opportunity to catch on with somewhere else where you can be a little higher in the depth chart, possibly.
Yeah, I'm glad the Kings did right by the two of them, particularly Keita, and I think Keita will land somewhere, whether it's on a 2-way deal or otherwise. But also, and that's cool, and I like that. I think it was Shams that was the one that kind of put it out there, like, yeah, this is like an element of it too, is the Kings want them to find another opportunity elsewhere. But let's also not pretend like that's the primary reason why. The Kings got their guys and realized this is just a waste of everybody's time if we continue this. Let's just roll with the guys that we believe we're going to have on our roster. I think Mike Brown, the fact that JaVale McGee chose the Sacramento Kings over the Golden State Warriors reportedly speaks volumes about, again, how important Mike Brown is to this team, how important Mike Brown is to this culture, and how important Mike Brown was to the Golden State Warriors a handful of seasons ago. That JaVale said, nah, I'm going to go to Sacramento and I'm going to play for Mike instead of go back where I won championships. So Mike and the Kings are on a very, very clear timeline. They have very clear goals, and Mike already practices and uses more practice days than any other coach in the league. He's not going to want to waste the precious time that he has in training camp on anything but getting this team to the level that they want to be at.
And what do you think that's going to take? We've talked a lot about like off-season moves and acquisitions, and Sasha, development of Keegan Murray. Now there's moves with kind of solidifying JaVale and Alex Len, and those are all great. Those are all paper. Those are paper moves and sports talk conversations. Mm-hmm. What do they need to do when camp gets underway in 3 weeks to take that next step and win Game 7, so to speak?
Well, one of the things I'm excited to watch in training camp or follow in training camp, and we're probably not going to see too much of it because they only let the media in at the very, very tail end. Sometimes we get scrimmages, and usually during those times, immediately what we pay attention to is like rotations and who's playing together and who's not. Like, well, a lot of times we're going to see the starting 5 together taking on the bench 5 or guys 6 through 10, whoever that may be. But I think we're also going to see with how much Mike likes to stagger his lineups, we are going to see a ton of pairings of bench and starter guys over the course of this offseason, or rather training camp. So to me, like, one of the key things for Mike Brown to work out in training camp immediately is which rotations he wants to roll with and which pairings of players works best together to accomplish 2 goals. 1, continue or build upon the historic offense that you set for yourself last season. And 2, implement better team defense without sacrificing that offense. I think that's what I'm concerned about. Is I don't think Mike Brown is going to hit training camp and just go defense, 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 defense. Because 1, he doesn't want to overwhelm these guys, and 2, he doesn't want to take the Kings away from what they do best. Now, Sacramento is capable of outscoring anybody, but I think we know that the Kings don't want to bank on the offense being so good that they're a championship team with the 25th ranked defense or whatever it was last season again. So I think it's going to be, again, still focusing on what the Kings do well, which is offensively building upon what they did last year. I think we're going to see a lot of them working on how the Warriors try to take away the dribble handoff and making sure other teams can't do that to them all season long. And then adding different elements of defense on top of that to where I don't expect the defense to look great or look fixed game 1, 2, or 3, or even game 20. I think over the course of the season, we're going to hopefully see the team defense get better and better. But the offense from day 1, you want to be the exact same.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. I expect that offense to be cooking from the start, because that's just what they do. Like, they generate open shots, they generate open threes, they get up and down the court in the open court with the fast break. I expect that to be ready to go. I actually think the defense is going to click a little sooner maybe than you think, Matt. They had a whole season to kind of understand what it was that Coach Mike Brown wanted to do and how he wanted to play defense. And at times they were able to execute it, other times they weren't. I think there's going to be really no learning a new defense this training camp. It's going to be about perfecting what you've already been working on for the past year, which allows me to think they may be able to come out the gates as a better defensive team already, because now it's fine-tuning and reps for the defense that you already know about.
See, I think if you could guarantee the offense was the same way, I'd feel the exact. I'd feel good about what you were saying, Kenny. My only concern
Hey,
is.
can I interrupt you for a second? I'm
Yes.
sorry.
That glass.
Yeah, because Chris Haynes just tweeted something. I mean, it is of consequence. It was actually going to lead into the next thing I asked you. And again, Matt, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Chris Haynes just tweeted Sacramento is converting Jordan Ford to a two-way contract. The Sacramento Kings are converting Jordan Ford to a two-way contract. I was going to ask you what you thought your future, or what Jordan Ford's future was with Sacramento.
Because not to cut you off, because previously he had a training camp.
He had a training camp contract, right? Well, that X's out my next question. So, Matt, if you'd like to finish your thought without a stupid radio show host interrupting you, please, and we can get to this Jordan Ford thing if you'd like.
Well, let's tie. Yeah, I'll tie both in together. Actually, I'll just wrap up my thought that I was saying with Kenny really quickly.
I'll just interrupt you some more.
That's okay.
Idiot.
My only concern that I have is that they focus so hard on the defense right out of the gate and trying to address the defense that their offense takes a step back. Now, I give the Golden State Warriors a lot of credit for how they guarded the Sacramento Kings in the playoffs, and I do think more of the focus in training camp should be on addressing how the Warriors and how teams are now going to want to try to take the DHOs away and take the King kind of out of their comfort zone a little bit. The Warriors were the first ones to able to do that successfully, consistently. So I think the Kings need to address that first before they really dive heavily into the defense. But as good as the Kings were defensively in the playoffs, we know how they dropped off offensively too. Could be for fatigue reasons, could be what the Golden State Warriors did, could be a combination of all of the above. But ultimately, I would like to see the Kings firmly reestablish what last year's offense was with the new faces, and then we'll see the defensive improvement added on top of that, because this team doesn't need to make a drastic defensive jump in order to be as good as they want to be, in my opinion.
I think one thing that got so many Kings fans kind of on edge is probably the wrong word, but maybe gave them optimism, but at the same time gave them disappointment. They showed signs of playing defense last year. They showed signs of playing really good defense for stretches last year. Not stretches of games, but stretches during games. Yeah. And I think it's left a lot of people to wonder, like, can they do that more? And if they did, what would that look like to what you and Matt were just talking about? What would that look like to one of the most dynamic offenses in the league? And I don't know what the answer is to that, but I know it was something that drove Kings fans crazy last year. It was like, I mean, everyone will point to the Cleveland game. Of course, that's extraordinary. But like, they had stretches where they played really good defense, and you can almost see it on the floor, Matt. You could see them wrap up on the defensive side.
Yeah, when they really wanted to buy in, and I thought it was led at the top when De'Aaron Fox got into that fourth quarter defensive mode. He took on whoever. Like a memory that's like screenshot into my brain is when the Kings beat the Warriors during the regular season in Sacramento. It was Fox that was chasing Steph Curry around to where Steph Curry got a good look at a corner three that would have been a big shot, and Fox ends up swatting that out of bounds. Like that was like a extra effort. Okay, De'Aaron Fox is going to be the guy now to do it. And Fox pointed it out consistently over the course of last season, and he was 100% right. Like, Fox was the one taking on the top defensive assignment typically down the stretch against opposing guards. Those guards weren't the ones guarding him. So he was the one taking on that challenge. And I think what Mike is looking for, and he's talked about this at the end of last season too, is can they get that effort from Fox for an entire half instead of the fourth quarter, or an entire game instead of a half? And does that impact what he does, his fourth quarter clutch scoring? Does that impact how rested he is offensively? And can the Kings ask more of him on the defensive end, pull back some of his minutes a little bit because Davion Mitchell is being more impactful to where, okay, Davion, I feel comfortable holding Fox back to 34 instead of 37 or 38 so that you can get those 3 or 4 extra minutes, hold down the fort, and Fox is a little more rested to be that guy for the entire game. Like, these are just all things that I think the Kings are going to have to figure out and work out, and they're all connected to one another. Once one starts working, the other starts working, in my opinion. So it's just kind of a spider web of aspects to the Kings improving as a team.
Yeah. Hey, like I've always said, make that somebody else's job to run around and guard Steph Curry and all this other stuff. De'Aaron, like you just mentioned, and De'Aaron pointed out, they're not guarding him. Like, find somebody else that's gonna guard Steph Curry or guard Ja Morant or anything like that. You conserve your energy, and maybe when it's winning time in that fourth quarter, a lot of those guys still don't start guarding De'Aaron Fox. But now, Fox, you'll take over that assignment if need be. But you may have a situation like we had in game 2 where Davion's out there, and Davion's helping close that game out. And he'll be the one to guard Steph, guard Ja Morant, guard Dame Lillard, or whatever the case may be. And Fox, you worry about playing help side defense, team defense, and orchestrating the offense.
Yeah, that could be the route. Again, if Davion's going to be that guy, though, I think they need to know and have a good feeling that offensively they're not taking a step back by having him out there on the floor compared to if it's Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox that you want to have closing the game as a backcourt. Plus, like, there are going to be games where Kevin Huerter says, I'm so hot from 3-point range, you can't take me out of this game. It's a good problem to have. But again, like, I think more often than not, it's going to be De'Aaron Fox that's going to be asked to be that main primary defender, or top defender, at least in amongst the backcourt and on the perimeter, because De'Aaron needs to be out on the floor to close games. That's a given. He's the consistent one that's always going to be out there to close games. Then you're combining that with a Monk if he's playing well, a Huerter if he's shooting well, a Davion Mitchell if he's good on both ends of the floor, to where now you have this dynamic defensive duo to where maybe Fox gets a night off. So it's just these pairings, it's these combinations, and guys understanding that while they need to be consistent, maybe more of their focus is going to be different depending upon who's on the floor together. I think Fox can focus more offensively when Davion's out there with him. But if Monk's out there with him, Fox has to take more of that defensive load.
Jordan Ford, I think, was a guy we were rooting for quite a bit, not only because of he's a Folsom guy, he's a local guy. Played really well during the summer. And it was like, this guy might have earned something here in Sacramento. And based on what we just learned from our friend Chris Haynes, who will be live with us next week, Thursday, Sky River Casino. Clearly the Kings saw something in him that they liked as well. How do you think Jordan Ford, and I get his 2-way contract, how do you think he fits into all of this?
I think it makes tremendous sense. I've been calling for Jordan Ford to get the last 2-way spot for the last 2 months. I mean, it just makes sense. Someone who has spent at least the last year in your system. The Stockton Kings played very similar to the Sacramento Kings. They were closely connected. Mike Brown and the Kings coaching staff were very much in communication with former Stockton Kings head coach Bobby Jackson, who's now in Philadelphia with Nick Nurse's staff. But, like, on top of that, for what you're asking from your third string point guard, which is essentially what Jordan Ford is, kind of the same thing you were asking from Matthew Dellavedova, except where Dellavedova brought experience and kind of an extension of the coaching staff, which was essential to this group coming together and beginning together last season. Now Jordan Ford brings the energy, the pace, the ball handling. I think Jordan Ford, for in break glass in case of emergency, third point guard necessity, Jordan Ford can do and run the Kings the way that they need their point guard to run them. Now, I still think, as of right now, on the depth chart, like, even though Davion Mitchell played a lot more off ball last season, I think if the Kings need a third point guard right away, they'll trust Davion more than they'll trust Jordan Ford right away. But that's fine. I mean, the 2-way contract is built to where Jordan's going to get his in Stockton, where we know he belongs and know he can ball out there. And when he's called up to the main roster for, 50 games that he can be a part of the main roster or suited up for the main roster, that's 50 games where you have someone that can do the job. And that's really all you're asking for out of that position. And it's not just doing the job. It's not just treading water. I mean, I think Jordan Ford does enough and brings you enough to where, Like, he can get hot from 3-point range if he wants to. He can distribute if he wants to. Like, you're getting a spark from someone. The way that Jordan Ford plays, it's just energy and spark and hustle. And that's exactly what you could want out of that position.
I agree. I like him as a point guard, man. And he really, we talked about it yesterday, Damian. He took advantage and made the most of his opportunity being on that summer league squad. He had an opportunity to turn heads and catch people's attention, and he did that in a major way with his scoring ability, the way he ran a team. He did not miss on that opportunity, and look where it's got him. It's got him on the big club, got him in a two-way deal, and I really am impressed with his game. I like his game a lot. I think this is a great role for him right now, being a third point guard or something like that, and learn and see if your game can get even better, man. But for him as a ball player and being a native of this city, I'm really happy to see this. It's a great thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. And Lindsey Harding needs some hoopers.
She does.
So you got Jordan Ford now, who can help down in Stockton, and then obviously whatever his role is here in Sacramento. Obviously, he'll be a part of training camp, and things will kind of go from there. How do you think things shake out with any remaining roster spots that the Kings have? Because correct me, I think you just said this, Matt. That was the last two-way spot, right?
Correct. So there are 3 two-way spots: are Keon, Jordan, and then I'm blanking on his name. The other second round pick that the Kings had. It's terrible that I'm forgetting his name.
Watson.
Yeah.
Watson.
Slauson.
Yeah. So those spots are locked up.
And there's no main roster spots to be had, right? Kobe Jones.
I thought there was one more.
Is there one
There
left?
might be one. I honestly have to look it up. I'm so confused with the players that they've
I
added.
expect you to know all of this by heart, Matt. Immediately,
Well,
right now, off the top of your head, fresh out of a work meeting into this show, I expect you to know it all by heart.
That's why James Ham is hosting the Insiders and I'm not. Let's see. If there's any, there's only one left.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure they're full. Assuming everybody who's coming into training camp is going to essentially make the squad. I think it's
right.
full.
Like if it's not completely full, it's like one, and that's what people are saying. They're at 14 now, so it's almost full. This is going to be a training camp where we're just praying every day no one gets injured, and we get to the first game. We get to that first matchup in Utah. That's all anyone's going to be looking forward to. Which I'll say this: we haven't experienced it yet, Matt. This will be all of our first times going through this. That'll be a refreshing change than worrying about who the hell the 14th, 15th, and 16th guy or whatever. Worrying about who the guy sitting at the end of the bench wearing street clothes are going to be.
Yeah, talking about, like, I was having a conversation the other day with a couple different guests on Locked On Kings, but like how we started talking about how much does the regular season matter, and it's like, what a stupid conversation to have for a franchise and organization that had like 16 straight losing seasons. But what I meant by having that conversation was, I think the regular season is still very, very important to a team like the Sacramento Kings, who's still trying to build and grow and establish themselves, versus a team like the Golden State Warriors or Los Angeles Lakers like last year, even the Miami Heat like last year, the Phoenix Suns of this year. Like, these are teams that, as long as they make it, they know they have a shot. And I think the Kings have a legitimate shot if they make it as well. But the regular season is going to be time for Sacramento to really work out and figure out the little things that I just do not think this team is that far off from being where they want to be, which is a 50-plus win team. Of course, they won 48 last season. My podcast episode today was asking if the Kings were still somehow an under-the-radar team, and I think they are, because despite being a third seed last season, despite not catching anybody by surprise anymore and being considered an established playoff team, there are a lot of people that are just straight up writing the Sacramento Kings off because of what other teams did, not because of anything Sacramento did. Like, everyone's like, oh, I can't blame Monte McNair and the Kings for running that group back. They've barely spent any time together. But the Suns have Bradley Beal. But the Dallas Mavericks now have a full season of Kyrie. But the Golden State Golden Girls now have Chris Paul. Like, it's like, okay.
Matthew.
Like, sorry, that's what they are. They're old. So it's
Girls.
to me,
thank you for being a friend. Goodness gracious.
to me, like, the Kings are in a very, very prime position to where use the regular season, play your style of basketball, play your brand of basketball. You have plenty of time to figure out the little kinks and things like that. And even if it doesn't work this season, that's okay. It doesn't have to work this season to where you're a championship caliber squad. Next year, the expectations will be that high. But the expectation this year is to remain what you are and make minor improvements. And I think for that squad, that's not a tough ask at all.
I'm with you.
Eddie Mack from South Sac asked, hey, can you guys talk about what role Chris Duarte will play? That's a great question, Matt, because I feel like I regularly ignore Chris Duarte. I don't know why. I was listing all of the things the Kings did this offseason and didn't mention him whatsoever.
See, I probably have too high of expectations for Chris Duarte. I do think out of the 10, I think Mike Brown's going to have a 10-man rotation. Out of the 10, Duarte is number 10. I believe. But Duarte is essentially a 3-and-D wing. That is what you're asking from Chris. He's going to come and he can handle the ball a little bit, although in my opinion, if you want someone who's going to do more ball handling, I think Colby Jones might be a better option, even though he's a rookie, and we'll see how quickly he takes him to kind of pick up the game and pick up the Kings style. But Chris Duarte is someone who, and Chris talked a lot about it when he spoke in Las Vegas during Summer League, his little introductory media kind of press conference scrum that he did. The first thing he brought up when he was asked what he brings to the Kings is he talked about his shooting. Like, I think a lot of us were thinking, oh, defense, versatility. Chris Duarte is a solid defender. He has the good defensive length, and he is an older player despite being in his third season now. So he's older, very similar to Davion Mitchell. So we expect him to be maybe a little further along in the physicality of the defensive side of the ball. But what I expect from Chris Duarte is someone who's going to space the floor, knock down the open shots that a lot of guys are going to get simply from playing with Fox and Sabonis and the other weapons on this roster. And then defensively have the length to be able to guard multiple positions on the perimeter. That's Chris Duarte's job. And if he can do that, then he's absolutely a rotational guy. If he can't do that, then there's a guy named, again, Colby Jones, that I think is knocking right on the door at the number 11 spot going, hey, I can shoot. I can handle the ball. I can play defense. I'm an older prospect too. Put me in. Give me a shot.
I think Duarte is ahead of Colby Jones and Kessler Edwards when the season starts.
Kessler too.
See,
What do you think about that?
I put Kessler at the bottom of the three. I personally do.
Oh.
And I don't.
Why y'all going against my people?
I mean,
y'all told all these jokes about how they're my guys. Now all of a sudden you got them buried at the bottom of the depth chart.
Well, hold on.
I mean, somebody got to play. Can't play them all.
I mean, the second the Kings went out and got Chris Duarte, one, I think they're hoping that he can become what he was before he got hurt and when he was playing with Sabonis back in Indiana. That's a big thing. And we know the Sabonis effect for so many different players. So it's a legit reason to think like Duarte got worse because Domantas Sabonis left. So I think there's that aspect of it. But the second you bring in Chris Duarte, again, a 3-and-D wing, and then you draft a player like Colby Jones, who can be like a 3-and-D wing with maybe a little more ball handling and floor management and floor general and playmaking. I think you look at what you have in Kessler Edwards and go, you better start hitting shots, or like there's other guys now that can replace you. Like last season, it was Kessler Edwards didn't have a lot of competition in Sacramento because the Kings didn't have a lot of what he provides. Now they have arguably 3 guys that can do that same job. And I think Kessler, his 3-point shooting is going to be what gets him that spot or what loses him that spot.
Regardless, or we're talking, and we'll say Chris Duarte, since you both have him at the top of that kind of group right there. We're probably even in the best scenario. Are we looking at kind of like what happened with Terrence Davis, where you're in, you're out, you might not play for 3 or 4 games, you might play a lot this one. If you're really working in this one on the defensive end or offensively or whatever, winds up being Chris Duarte's specialty that day, then you're getting a lengthier stay on the floor. But could it be pretty sporadic, regardless of what individual winds up winning Mike Brown's heart? Are we talking about something pretty sporadic?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it all has to do with the staggering of Mike Brown's rotations and, again, the pairings that he's comfortable putting on the floor together. Like if you're drawing out a depth chart, which a lot of people like to do, which is your starting 5, and then you do a slash and then the backup at each position. Like Duarte is the next 3. So it's Harrison Barnes and then Chris Duarte. But that's why I have Chris Duarte as the 10th guy of the rotation, because Monk is playing over him. Davion Mitchell is playing over him. and then Sasha Vezenkov and Trey Lyles both have to play. So your 9, I think, is set in stone. And that 10th spot, Chris Duarte has the edge to me, but that 10th spot could be JaVale McGee sometimes. That 10th spot could be Kessler Edwards. It could be Colby Jones. Like that number 10 spot is where Mike Brown, I don't think, is going to have any problem going, I'm not getting what I need from tonight. He looks down at his bench and he might call Colby. He might call JaVale. It just might be because how many times did Mike do that last season? Y'all aren't doing this for me. You give me a shot.
Jesse's informed me that the show is over.